the psychological functioning is dominant, is master of society. The ego is running the show for most people, focusing on profit and personal success and rising in status and Hollywood and the great deception of acting and maintaining some kind of image. This is running the show down here. So you have to get to grips with psychology too. You have to get to grips with your own psychology and learn to step into what we call mystical psychology or mystical mental health, which is, if you're contained in the psychology, you are subject to the psychology, and you can begin to navigate in there, like being caught up in a river, a rapid river, white rapids. All right, well, you're in it. You're being bashed around by it. Begin to try to operate this way and turn this way and turn that way, and that is mastering the psychology while you're in it. But to step out of it totally, and as my teacher, his metaphor, to be on the bank of the river, observing the comings and goings of the torrent. If you fall into it, you get carried away by it, and you can jump in and swim around and help people in there if you want to, or you can stand on the bank and be totally out of the shit. Maybe you're even on the bank with your hand in, trying to help other people get out because you're strong enough to stay on the bank and hold on to the bank and pull people out. Maybe it's fun. You want to jump in, swim around on your canoe and go white river rafting. Fine. But if you're confined to it, it can be a hell. So it really depends on the psychologist, the particular branch of psychology that they're focusing on. Psychology has a place, but you will not find enlightenment in psychology. You will not find answers to the deep, mystical inquiry of life in the psychology. You step out of it and you step back from it. And the same way that, feeding you McDonald's will temporarily help you, but if you keep eating only McDonald's, although you're not starving, now you're developing severe disease. Just like that movie Super Size Me from years ago. So to transcend the psychology is the mystical method of mental health. Stepping out of the psychology and stepping back from it helps a lot of the suffering to settle down. It helps a lot of the suffering to dissolve. And just like while you're inside a prison, if you're inside a prison, you're subject to the goings on of the prison and the chaos of the prison. There's a way to operate in there that's wise, in conformity with the energy of the prison and the other prisoners and the other thoughts and the other demons that live in there. And there's a way to operate in that prison that's going to keep you safe and keep you out of harm's way. But when you're outside of the prison, you don't need to worry about any of that, because it's not, you can visit mountains and forests and jungles and monasteries, and you can live in peace when you're outside of the prison. So there's very different ways to explore your consciousness. Psychology is one of the fingers on the hand, the fist of mystic society and our means of cultivation. Yeah, it's a good observation. Thank you for putting that forward.
So do you want to talk a little bit about the mystical mental health service or the counselling service that you offer?
Sure. So going back to the personal history of myself, I was very lucky as a young person to have these very deep, dark and scary paranormal experiences, which, it was luckily combined with this condition that I have. I'm colorblind, and being colorblind immediately gave me this question as a young age. All of this applies, by the way, and I'm not just going off on a tangent. It applies to the problem of mystical mental health and how it developed. Because I'm colorblind, I learned straight away to see the world and look at it and go, okay, so I'm seeing this particular experience and other people see it differently. People in my life at a young age, Oh, I was only 5, 6, 7. These are other kids. You know, they say, you don't see right. We do, but you don't. And I say, okay, well, if everyone was colorblind, you who see normally would be the one who doesn't see right. So even as a young and a very, very young person, I had this immediate awareness of how there are different experiences in life. And so I don't actually know if what I'm seeing is real or if what they are seeing is real. They don't actually know if what is they are seeing is real. Kevin really loves flies. He loves to try to eat them, and he's doing that at the moment, which is very helpful actually, because there's quite a lot of flies where we live. So from a very young age, I was lucky to have this experience that allowed me to question my perception and to question other people's perceptions. Now that's the colorblindness. From there, these paranormal, spiritual developments took place. Only once did I try to communicate with my family about them. And immediately I got this very strange, that's weird, we don't know, that's strange. Almost a kind of fear, maybe like, or kind of a caution around it. And so I sensed straight away, okay, this is something people are afraid of, so I won't talk to them. I'll just inquire into myself. So every night when I go to bed and I lay down and I'm having these forced sleep paralysis experiences and being pulled out of my body by what felt like demonic forces and visited by dark, fearful beings and all sorts of strange things happening to me, I knew that this is as I got older and became a teenager and began to hear about things like mental health, which you learn about in school, I was immediately able to detect that, okay, this is something that people think is insane. People think this is psychosis or insanity, and so they dismiss it. They think it's the wrong functioning of a brain or a person. Now, that's fine. They can think that if they want, but I don't give a shit what people think about my experiences. I want to know what the hell that is. How far does that go? What is causing that? Regardless of whether people wants to put the label psychosis or insanity on it, that's irrelevant to the fact that it's happening. That's like saying that the warfare that is conducted in the world today is evil. Okay, well that's fine if you want to call it evil, but what difference does that term make to the thing itself? How does that happen? What is causing that to happen? What is the experience of being stuck in that environment, subject to that environment? What is that like? Is there an alternative? Is there a way that we can operate to help that environment, to stop it from happening? These are different questions. And so people want to put the label on my experience as a kid, and I just knew straight away. So luckily, I have had a very deep and personal first-hand experience of many various forms of mental health issues, mental health problems, which modern medicine calls psychosis, schizophrenia, delusion, paranoia, depression, anxiety, sleep disorder, a whole bunch of them, which they have come to, try to prescribe medication for. I've never in my life taken medication for the purpose of addressing a mental health disorder. I've only ever taken it because when I was younger, I used to enjoy recreational medication taking in my wilder days. I don't do any of that anymore. So this discipline of mystical mental health has developed as a way of helping people who, well, one, helping myself, but also helping people who really struggle with the approach of modern mental health, modern Western medicine and mental health, and it doesn't work for them, or maybe they've tried it and they're wondering, is there another way to approach it? Is there another way to go beyond it? So that's the world of mystical mental health, and essentially what it does is it applies the ancient traditional transmission of mystical reality, mystical truth, mystical energy, awareness, and learn so that a person can learn in their own life to apply awareness to their mental health, which I can testify resolves every single mental health condition that I've ever experienced, including all of the ones that I just described to you. Not to mention, there are elements, so that's just applying awareness to it, essentially a kind of mindfulness, learning to step out of that problem and watch what stepping out of it does to the problem itself and how you feel about whatever it is you're experiencing in your brain at the time. But also, there are various elements of the mystical perspective on reality puts you essentially over here while life is unfolding, directly witness to it. At which point you can jump into life and go, oh yeah, let's put that there. That one, that's shit. That one's been here for years. It doesn't work anymore. That's crap. Get rid of that. Step back out and watch what happens. Okay, what we just put in there has evolved and changed over the course of a week. Let's actually jump back into the psychology and drop in this and put that in, and then step out and go, okay, let's sit here for a month and watch this person develop, their psychology develop, their behavior develop, experimentally, like scientifically. Okay, assess that, then jump in. Okay, those worked really well, but actually we've seen a lot more now over the last month. Let's take all of that out and bring it back to a complete present emptiness. And now that we've learned this about this operation of this psychology, let's jump in now and reprogram this, put this in, put that in, into the psychology, into the personality, into the ego, and help, because all of these elements are now going to help this person, help their life evolve in a very specific way. That's self-mastery. So mystical mental health really applies to those who really struggle with their mental health and who are suffering and who need immediate respite and long-term processes, long-term help and long-term results to, well, hopefully completely transform their experience of life, as my own inquiry into mysticism and mystical mental health and self-mastery has.